We got our money's worth in week 5 of Stage 2. Excelsior will break down New York's dominance through the first half of the season.
And the NYXL stand finally at the top.
And the stage champion NYXL will tell you how they pulled off the incredible reverse sweep.
2세트 끝나고 나서 저랑 이제 몇 명이 이제 그냥 우리 잘하던 거 하자. 그러니까 원래 저희 이제 스테이지 1부터 계속
How did the Fusion take out London in the stage semis?
Philly in the semi-finals will take it.
And why was Seoul once again on the outside looking in?
The Seoul Dynasty lose a very important match in the last week.
Plus, the best plays and most emote-worthy moments from Stage 2 that won't leave you hanging. And we put Stage 2 to sleep with some bedtime stories. It's time for Watchpoint.
Welcome to MLG's Watchpoint. Mr. X here with Monte and Uber in Stage 2. It's over.
I know, and usually this is the part where I make fun of you or Uber, but actually the matches were just so exciting this week with the big upset from Philadelphia and then taking NYXL to 5 games that we should talk about that instead.
I was finally right with my NYXL predictions.
Hey, I was right as well.
I don't know about that.
Even though in Stage 1 we had to put you up to sort of saying that you thought NYXL would win this stage.
That's
but I mean,
true.
you know what? Like, everyone gets super like the title matches are interesting, right? Like we're definitely curious about these results and they mean a lot. But again, it's more for the money. So a lot of the time, like we maybe overemphasize sometimes the results of these matches. But I mean, you can't overemphasize the importance of seeing Philadelphia come out into win against London and New York, especially the London win. Makes no sense that they won some of the maps that they won in that game.
No, they were 0-8 against London in their 2 previous meetings. They only had 3 total points in those 8 maps. It was completely...
Checkpoints, that is, right?
Yeah, checkpoints. Yes. It was completely unreasonable for anyone to predict that they were going to come away with a win there.
And yet they did. We are here to recap a wild final week of Stage 2. New York and London had some winnable games to solidify their spots in the stage title matches. And it basically came down to the Gladiators, Seoul, and Philadelphia for that 3rd spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Fusion and the Gladiators faced off on Wednesday, where Philly took the match 3-1, putting themselves ahead of LA in the stage standings and leaving the door open for the Seoul Dynasty.
But however, that door closed quickly for the Dynasty as they fell to the Houston Outlaws on Thursday and dropped a map to Florida on Friday, leaving them on the outside looking in as they found themselves in Stage 1.
Philadelphia could have locked up their spot with a 4-0 or 3-0 win over the Valiant, but their thrilling match actually went all 5 maps. And 3 rounds on Ilios was required before the Fusion finally took the game to stay alive in the playoff race.
So the Gladiators had a chance to sneak into the playoffs with a 4-0 win over Boston, but that chance evaporated on the first map as the Uprising held LA on the 2nd point of Volskaya, crushing their Stage 2 playoff hopes.
And that meant the Philadelphia Fusion would join the Spitfire and the NYXL in the Stage 2 title matches. Philly and London would kick things off on Sunday with the stage semifinal. London was the heavy favorite coming in, but the Fusion took Nepal and Hanamura to put the Spitfire on the ropes at 2-1. Kings Row was a favorable map for Philly, but London stormed through the first point in just 29 seconds, en route to a decisive win. The deciding 5th map would be Route 66, and with a boost from Snillo's Tracer, the Fusion moved on to the championship.
Philadelphia was able to ride the momentum from their win over London against the NYXL. So when they started off the match, they actually managed to take both Route 66 and Lee Jung Tower. They went up 2-0 at the start of the series against a top team in the league. New York was stunned, but they used a halftime break to regroup, and they came out strong on Volskaya Industries. NYXL then full-held them on that map. It was an incredible performance, and then they went on to outlast the Fusion on Hollywood to knock things up at 2-2. The deciding map, Gibraltar, they managed to win that one out. They're an incredible match. Sabiolby getting the NYXL over the line. New York, the Stage 2 champions, and they were proud to say so afterwards.
스테이지 우승해서 너무 기분이 좋네요. 딱히 이거 말고 표현할 방법이 없는 것 같아요. 너무 그냥 기분이 너무 좋아서.
We got your grand finals coming up right now. Philadelphia Fusion in the New York XL.
일단 저희 마인드셋이 약간 잘못돼 있었고 플레이 스타일이 저희가 생각했던 부분하고 좀 많이 달라서 그리고 사실
좀 필라가 올라올 줄 좀 예상을 못 해가지고 런던전 좀 준비를 좀 많이 했던 게 2라운드까지는 좀 많이 방황을 한 것 같아요.
So Philadelphia just taking advantage, getting really aggressive as they push on in. One more. Can you believe it? Ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Fusion stand on the precipice from being your stage 2 champions with a 2-0 map lead at half.
2세트 끝나고 나서 저랑 이제 몇 명이 이제 그냥 우리 잘하던 거 하자. 그러니까 원래 저희 이제 스테이지 1부터 계속
And that is how you bounce back from 2 lost maps.
뭐 좀 약간 확신이 이제 이길 거라 이제 확신이 들었던 거는 아마 리베로가 그거 저희 볼스카 완막을 하고 이제 공격 상황에서 갑자기 상대 2명 동시에 헤드샷으로 땄을 때가 가장 그 딱 터닝 포인트인 것 같아요.
Set him up and he'll knock him down. It's a game of dominoes. Libero with 2.
이번 경기 MVP는 혜성이가 될 것 같아요. 그러니까 위도를 잘 쓰는 상대의 팀으로 위도를 훨씬 더 많은 걸 보여줘서.
And the NYXL stand finally at the top.
뭐 일단은 당연한 거겠지만 이제 스테이지 3, 4도 이제 계속 1등을 유지하는 게 목표고요. 그리고 마지막에 시즌 우승하는 게 가장 중요할 것 같아요. 그래서 이제 타이틀 우승은 한 번 했으니까 스테이지 3, 4 뭐 타이틀 우승할 수 있으면 좋겠지만 못하더라도 이제 시즌 우승을 좀 더 바라보고 달려갈 것 같네요.
And when their backs were against the wall, the NYXL was able to rely not only on Libero, as I mentioned in the video, but Sabiov's clutch play was really a big factor here. You could see his performance in general. All the orange boxes are where he led the team. So Gibraltar, that's where he really stepped it up. But Volskaya was when the resurgence of New York began.
Yeah, and those are the stats from the last 3 maps, the maps that New York won. And it was surprising to see NYXL go down 2-0 in the stage final. But not when you consider that they didn't seem to prepare for the Fusion. Yeah. Even in the post-match interview, we saw ARC saying that they had prepared primarily for Seoul, if they had made it, actually, and then also the London Spitfire. So it was a little odd to me that they were trying some things on, especially Route 66. They looked like they were running a anti-dive composition. As we take a look here, they were trying to hold A with Orisa on top of Big Earls.
Houston, is that you?
Yeah, but the problem with this is that Orisa, when she puts down her shield, Carpe is able to flank with the Widowmaker around the sides. And because in the last few times we had seen Route 66, including immediately beforehand when they played against the Spitfire, it was all about the Tracer and the Widowmaker combination. And that particular composition is not going to do you a lot of favors against a Widow.
I think at least at the beginning of this series, they were surprised by the lack of aggression from Philadelphia, and that Philadelphia was running, at least on Lijiang Tower 2, right? Some triple tank. They run Pharah. That was really surprising because it seems like New York's comps are really built around, like you were saying, the anti-dive. It almost seems like they took the comps that they were going to use against London, who's a very strong dive team, and just threw them into this match.
I feel like they were working on some outdated information, actually, especially looking back to Philadelphia's first outing against the London Spitfire in week 2 and then New York in week 3. It's a bit of a different team now. They've kind of evolved a little bit more. It seems like their cop was designed to really burst down Fraggy as soon as he jumped in, but Fraggy wasn't dying so easily over those first few maps.
Yeah, but I think if you, obviously it's hard to prepare when you come in the next map and they're playing those back-to-back Route 66s, but that wasn't the first time we've seen Snillo and Carpe play on that map. That happened against the Gladiators, so they had plenty of time to fix these compositions, and they came in with some weird ideas about how that match was
well, they did fix them, and they settled down at the break, and they turned things around, and for me, the big player for NYXL that helped turn things around was Libero. I think his Widow play on Volskaya, a lot like what Ark said, it came up clutch because Philadelphia was rolling through the day with Carpe on that Widowmaker. Libero came in. This is when they had EQO playing the Widow, and Libero definitely took it to him. And it's interesting, in stage 1, it was a lot of Sabiel B and Pine playing that Widowmaker. You didn't have any Pine here in stage 2. You had Libero just pick this hero up, like 2 weeks ago, and come in here and play lights out.
It is incredible to me to see Libero try and pick up the Widowmaker this late on. Now, they had to have a good Tracer Widow combination in stage 2's map pool, but Libero's a player that I've been casting for a long time over in Apex when he was on Meta Athena. And yes, he's always been a very flexible player, but he hasn't shown those same levels level of Widowmaker chops as we saw this past couple of weeks. It is incredibly impressive.
Honestly, like there are a ton of games for Meta Athena where he wasn't intended or supposed to be a dominant player and just wrecking everybody. He was the kind of guy that was facilitating a lot of their positioning and their setups and their set plays, like, you know, stuff like May, stuff like Sombra. But now he's playing these heavy fragging heroes and is going absolutely nuts. Like that Volskaya strategy where you see Libero actually firing there, both teams were playing a strategy that relies solely on the pick potential of Widowmaker. And Libero got the picks, EQO did not. He got wrecked by Libero, and that's what was mentioned in the video, the double headshot. But we've got to talk about the Fusion as well, right, in general. They went 7-3 in this stage. They beat London in the semis, and then took the New York Excelsior to 5 maps in that Stage 1 final. The big boost that I saw from this team in Stage 2 was their supports, and specifically Neptuno. I'd say this guy had to be a standout in my opinion. We talked about this in Stage 1, guys. When Mercy's done, when Lucio's in, there are a multitude of, especially European supports that are really going to start to rise up. Neptuno had really very good Battle Mercy performances, but this Lucio, pretty nutty.
We also saw some fantastic Ana play out of him in the semifinals, but when you look at his stats right there, what's fun to me about Neptuno is he's often speed boosting with Fraggy or with his DPS into the backline, and he's like fragging the enemy supports. So he plays a particularly fun style of Lucio to watch.
And even when he's on Mercy, I mean, he's always, when he's using Valkyrie, like half the time he pulls his pistol out. Like I remember they used
headshotting Widows.
They used his Valkyrie once to actually take out Libero playing on the Widowmaker. But I think
66,
they did a good job though of integrating Snillo into the lineup as well. I thought when they really needed that Tracer Widowmaker position, they wanted Carpe to be able to play that Widowmaker. He's so good at it, and a lot of pressure on Snillo coming in. Game 5 against London, he's played for maybe 1 or 2 weeks thus far. I thought he showed up in a big way. This comp is risky though, because if the Widowmaker doesn't work out, Carpe doesn't really play many tanks, doesn't play like Genji that often, although he can. So you're really kind of forced into playing McCree at that point, which is a pretty easy dive target.
Yeah, and you saw him really harassing the backlines too. Snillo is a very sneaky Tracer player. He's very patient. He goes for the big frags in the backline and it really tries to be disruptive. So I think teams are going to get used to the way he plays and start hunting for him as they start to approach a point or approach the payload again. But for now, his style is really working for him.
Yeah, he did very well. Jonak is the kind of play that is going to shut down a Tracer that wants to try and dive the backline. And you notice, I saw that Snillo was opting out actually at some of those head-to-heads against him. He's like, okay, I've been here before.
He's going for Sabilby instead.
Exactly, and he was doing a very good job of that. His stats were incredible over in general. So, you know, isn't it so nice to see a new player come in and we don't have to go, I'll just give him time, guys. You know, just let, you know, he needs some more time in this roster. It's like Philly brought him on board. He was in the house. He was practicing with them. And as soon as they put him on the roster, we actually saw this player be able to play.
I was surprised we didn't see him anymore in that series on something like a Hollywood or
people were hoping
even Volskaya. I think it's so difficult when you have a Widowmaker player like that's so explosive like Carpe, and when he's shooting like how he shot in the London series and then the first map on Route 66, it's like you want him on Widow as much as possible, and the only way to do that is if they play Snillo on Tracer.
Yeah, but apart from all of these individual performances that we're highlighting, I think to me what was the most impressive thing was that we saw a real development of the strategies and the tactics that the Philadelphia Fusion were using. If you go back and take a look at some of their earlier films, they're not very coordinated on their dives. They're getting picked apart and counter-dove by the likes of the London Spitfire in their previous matchup. However, when we saw them come into the stage playoffs, now they're playing intelligently. They're punishing positional mistakes instead of making the positional errors themselves. And we can take a look at this on the same point, actually. If we go to Route 66, point B, these are 2 Philly versus London games, 2 different defenses from the Philadelphia Fusion. Keep your eyes on Fraggy and Shadowburn in this clip. Now watch, Shadowburn's going to go in for an EMP, and Fraggy's going to jump back to defend against Gesture and Prophet. Nobody's there to follow up on the EMP, and instead, a lot of ults are used, including a Transcendence on the side of the Fusion. That is a very big low point, and then Fraggy here jumps back in, and then gets chased down and dies.
They don't even use the Transcendence.
This is a disaster of a play. But now let's take a look at this from the stage playoffs of the Spitfire versus the Fusion. Watch Fraggy this time. He's trying to zone them out. Gesture goes back. They know Birdring has the Dragon Blade, so they pop the Primal Rage on Fraggy. He's going to punch Birdring all the way back to the payload. Everybody drops back. to protect the supports. And then Neptuno uses the Valk to fly forward and get the healing. And they just destroy the Spitfire's attack. So they don't give them the room. They're using their movement cooldowns much more intelligently. This is night and day difference in team play.
I mean, look, I think we're all surprised to see that Philadelphia did beat London, but they did have a bit of an up and down stage, did the London Spitfire. And I think they could have avoided even being in position to play in the semifinals if they stuck with their best roster for every match. You see, sometimes they bring in Hagapun closer to play in some of these games. What, they go down 0-2 and then they try and bring back in, you know, Birdring and Hureg in there. Yeah, it's just a circus. This team could put together a 9-1 stage or a 10-0 stage even, and I think avoid the semifinal match completely if they just stuck with this lineup completely. I mean, you remember they beat New York at the beginning of the season. They beat Seoul 4-0. They're only in position to play in the semifinals is because they mess around in some of these other games.
I find this hard to disagree with. Having a look at this roster, statistically, Bedtime is vastly better, at least on paper, than Hagapun is. I think Wuyal is the more aggressive diva in this composition, and it really facilitates London to play that really nasty dive that we saw showcased, especially against Seoul. You know, a team who focuses very much around Jaehong being able to set them up. Jaehong couldn't do a heck of a lot because London were always on top of him there as well. So, you know, couple changes there. And yeah, Hureg is a player that sort of comes in and plays a bit of hit scan, maybe even some junk ray in the past, but hasn't been overly dominant. So maybe, yeah, you give yourself top seed by not changing the roster, but it's not an easy decision because you have all these players. Obviously, you want to give them some game time.
Okay, I disagree. I think it is an easy decision, frankly, and I think, yes, we saw Birdring play in these stage playoffs, but if he was more consistently played, we would have necessarily seen the bad semifinal performance that we got from him. Birdring is a player that is in the conversation for the best DPS in this league, but as you can see, he had the most deaths on his team in 3 out of the 5 of the semifinal games. He was taking bad peaks against Carpe. It looked like he was desperate. It looked like he was tilted. His positioning wasn't great, and it was very much exploited by the Fusion. Now, this guy has had otherworldly performances at times, but you need to get him in there every single match, I think, because Prophet and Birdring are, in theory, the best DPS duo in Overwatch.
And I think they do need to play often because they play New York week 1, and then they play Seoul week 3, and then those are the 2 meaningful matches for London throughout the stage. So it's he needs that practice all the way through because he can't just sit somebody and then just throw them in week 5 and then go into the playoff.
I mean, it's about synergy too, right? With the rest of the roster. I think this London team needs to take a step back, settle down, try and figure out a core that works for them, run that core for a while, and then diversify as needed with the players on their bench. So, something's going weird here in London, and it's costing them. This team probably has the highest skill ceiling in the Overwatch league.
I'd agree.
But they don't actually have the teamwork to back it up, unfortunately.
So now I guess it's time for a bit of R&R for them. We've got, 10 days before Stage 3 starts, and they'll be able to head home and relax. But there were so many great plays in Week 5, and here are the ones that surprised us the most. You know what? It didn't see that coming.
And here we're going to start with Libero, the hero of the finals, with a 2K. Now, part of this is a great headshot and another great headshot, but at the same time, you can't walk out into the open as the Mercy to res if your tanks aren't there to help you. You can see that Fraggy doesn't have his jump cooldown because he just jumped down.
Yeah, can't put the bubble down in time to save Neptuno. It's going to be Samuel B with the sneaky tracer kill. Plus the pulse bomb here. Just goes right up on Soon. There was no chance he was going to be able to live through that. Then the pulse bomb, the Transcendence comes out.
How good are you feeling about that? Not only to get rid of the Widowmaker, forcing the trans. So much value in that play. Speaking of value, here's Fraggy with a very Fraggy-esque charge. Note the angle straight into that little lip there. To be honest, if that charge goes any further, Gesture probably doesn't get pinned. Fraggy stops his charge. He could get picked off, and that's actually an opening for London. That's very risky.
I mean, he's my favorite Reinhardt player to watch in the league, hands down. So entertaining. Speaking of entertaining, here is Birdring. He is going to clutch this out for a 3K on Kings Row, a map we thought the Philadelphia Fusion had a big advantage on, but Birdring denies them.
The parkour with the rip tire over the top of the building. It's an easy 3K on the point. It's going to be the Fusion, though. Another play. They overcome a grab with a grab plus shatter for a team kill. The Valiant throw in their grab, and they get no value from it whatsoever, as it's going to be a grab that comes out from the Fusion there. Resulting in a team wipe.
About that coalescence as well. Boombox is like, yo, I'm going to heal my team, and then I'm going to kill all of them with the grab. This is amazing. Verbo He gets a sick boop into Neptuno as he tries the sound barrier. In all fairness, Neptuno did it with only a small amount of health, but Verbo stopped him, then gets pulse bomb promptly.
I lost my mind when that happened. That was such a huge denial of a sound barrier. And we got another denial courtesy of a Lucio here. Kellex from the Boston Uprising taking out both of the Gladiators tanks. There's some value in a right click for you as Fissure and Bijou take a dive.
Shields up.
That's a lot.
He had his shield up.
He did it, and then he's off the side. Yep, it's going to be Surefour from the Gladiators coming up next. It's a great reaction to snipe and ulting Widow, so Dreamcatcher has the infra sight up, knows exactly what Surefour is. Just that sneaky peek around the corner gets him.
You gotta love to see that, really. The Resurrect in on Dreamcatcher, Surefour forcing that one out, but just the tip of his head. Sometimes the Widow battles do come down to those small margins. Spree, you know, this guy, he'd be hooking and he'd be booking. Comes in on the Roadhog. Again, a specialist we often see on this particular map. Really made an impact early on in this round.
Yeah, I mean, you always like to see Spree playing the Zarya, but instead also making some great plays with the Roadhog. And to Vic from the Florida Mayhem, team on the rise. We're going to see a good barrage here, setting himself up for a concussive blast. Straight to some awesome positioning, squishy targets directly underneath him. And I love Ragdoll's. That cartwheeling soldier is fantastic.
That is great. The 76 just comes doing a cartwheel right in front of him. It's your boy Sinatraa here, flanking on the Junkrat, the hero he's most known for. No, I'm kidding. It's most likely he's Tracer. Just tossing mines in this small corridor.
Yeah.
Very difficult not to pick these kills up.
It doesn't show the second concussive vibe, but you better believe he just unloaded both of those. Obviously, yeah, there we go. Yuck. Well, there you go. We didn't see that coming. So, Sinatraa, the man of the moment just now, made his long-awaited debut for San Francisco in Week 5 after turning 18 last Sunday. We followed the newly eligible DPS star during his first week in the lineup for the Shock.
Sinatraa, it's been a long time in the making.
You guys might remember this guy from the Overwatch World Cup. He goes by the name Sinatraa. He's going to be making his debut tonight.
This guy has been heralded as a prodigy. We really could be in here for a treat.
When I first got signed, I was 17 years old, but it was like a 4-month period where I had to wait before I turned 18 and could play. So I had to basically skip stage 1 and 2. Right now, 5 days away from my birthday, with my first match, and then I'm gonna start playing. Yeah, a lot of people walk up to me like, I'm excited to see you play, and I'm like, I'm excited to see me play too. Like, I want to play badly. During the game, the coaches, staff, players on the bench can see like every angle of like what's happening, so you can like make adjustments after the game. Nice. Oh. Wait, it's winnable. Wait, we won. Oh.
So we're here celebrating Sinatra's 18th birthday and his upcoming debut. Finally, he's able to play, so we're all hyped as hell.
Happy birthday to you! Woo!
All right. I'm excited. A lot of pressure right now, but I'm just trying to relax, scrim, listen to music, and just get in the zone, basically. My first game. And tomorrow's my second game.
You're coming in, like, quote-unquote, untested. Where do you think you rank in the league in terms of your Tracer play? You can give us a cocky answer, that's fine. Or
I think I rank with the Koreans.
all right.
Looks not bad, I think. Hello. Nice to meet you. Am I just here?
Yes.
A lot of pressure, to be honest, because everyone for the past 3 months has been saying, like, oh, Sinatraa is going to, like, carry this team, make the biggest difference, but it's a team game in the end, so it's a lot of pressure. Thank you, guys.
He just turned 18 on Saturday. He's finally old enough to play in the Overwatch League.
There he is, the man himself. Now the first time we get to see him, almost halfway through the entire season. Oh yeah, things are starting to heat up here. And Sinatraa gets the D-suit on Matt in this.
Against Florida Mayhem, I thought I was going to be, like, fine for my first game, but the first 2 maps, I was pretty nervous.
Sinatra's tearing it up. This is the type of play that the Shock expected to see. This is the way you want to see a debut, right?
And for the San Francisco Shock, again, signs of greatness.
But the Shock don't get the win.
The Mayhem are able to come out on top.
Sinatraa, he wasn't happy with the result yesterday.
To be honest, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations that are being put on that guy's shoulders. At the end of the day, Overwatch very much a team game.
Oh, yeah, that's my boy. Sinatraa in with 3 for 1. How did he hit Striker with that Helix rocket? Oh, I saw that, Sinatraa. You can't hide that from me. That is unbelievable.
At the end of it all, though, it's the Boston Uprising walking away with the last victory over the Shock.
Well, I'm going to remember us going 0-2 in my first week of my debut. There's nothing else because I feel pretty bad. I don't know. I can't get it out of my head that we lost yesterday, but I'm glad that I'm finally in Overwatch League, like finally integrated with the team. It takes work, it takes practice. So come stage 3, I think once Architect and Super come in, I think we'll definitely be like one of the best teams.
Why are we dressed in footy pajamas?
Because this is what we're paid to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is true. We just do what we're told. We walk out the back. There's a bunch of onesies. We make sure he gets the worst looking one. But it's time to put stage 2 to bed. I'm going to start us off with an instant classic as we jump into some bedtime stories. So everybody just get in the mood. This one's called Little Red Rouge Hong.
Should be called Little Dead Rouge Hong at the end of this stage.
I don't know if that's a great bedtime story, Monte. I think kids would like to.
I want to hear Monte's stories.
Here we go. Little Red Rouge Hong. There once was a team from Seoul. They start every stage on a roll. But when they play subs and Fleta gets snubbed, the differential pays the toll. They practice their heroes all day long, but they must protect Toby and Jae-Hong. Their roster is apt, but slow to adapt. They must sort that out before they gone.
Oh man, and Seoul, with everything on the line in this last week for that stage playoff slot, and they don't play Fleta for the majority of the match, that actually hurt me. They get too cute with their lineup sometimes as we take a look at some of their win percentages by players. I just don't get where they're going with this. It's like you have a star player in Fleta, build your strategies around Fleta instead of trying to mind game the opponents.
Yeah, and the one match that ended up hurting them, they played Kuki and Wakid, and you see there, you know, the maps played throughout stage 2. 50% win rate, those guys also played against Shanghai.
Not the dream. Yeah. What wasn't, we would like to see them with something more solid here. I think they're overthinking the amount of players they have. And I mean, you talked about it earlier on, or previously about London and their roster. Maybe they should also try and take a leaf out of the book of having a solid 6.
And we're gonna move on to my bedtime story, though. I'm excited to share mine with you. It's one about the Stage 2's breakout team. It's Fissure, the big purple tank. So let's get this started. I know you guys are going to enjoy this one. The Gladiators were home in LA, but each match we struggled to know how they'd play. The others would cut through their tanks like a scissor until they decided to trade for the Fissure.
Well, that's bars.
With strong tanks and 3 DPS on the loose, and some really good Lucio play by Big Goose, the purple guys thrived in the Mercy nerfed patch with an eye on a berth in the stage title match. But then they would play the Fusion and lose, leaving Surefour and friends with something to prove. They must wait for a shot at the Stage 3 crown, while the rest of us wonder, shields up or shields down?
Their success was really based on the Fissure effect in Stage 2. I thought he was a tremendous upgrade over iRemix. We can take a little bit of a look at the stats. You know, hero damage, obviously, Fissure, performs him there. You see eliminations, even. Final blows more towards Fissure, and the deaths are down. I think, though, it's really just the shot calling and the decision-making that Fissure brings to this team. That's the big difference.
Coordination has been light years better with Bishu and the DPS.
Yeah, also bear in mind as well, Fissure and Asher can work together. It makes a big difference in this particular roster. Hydration's also come in and had big moments. It's just a shame as well that they had to kind of 4-0 Boston to get into the finals eventually after kind of messing things up in the last couple of weeks, and that's a shame, but again, their toughest challenges were always going to come in those last couple of weeks to properly get over the line. It's annoying for a team that managed to beat London at the turn.
Yeah, they just put themselves in too difficult of a position towards the end. And okay, my bedtime story is about a team we're all happy to see playing better lately. It's green eggs and mayhem. guys.
Sorry.
Take my story seriously.
Great book.
This is a very good story. The Mayhem from Florida, well, they had it harder. No help for Tvik, because they only had sticks. Stage 1 was a mess. They were almost winless. But Logix and Swoosh would soon get a boost. They moved a bit closer and found a new chauffeur. They added some players and said a few prayers. Their DPS shined and their tanks were aligned. Zebosai and Zupe covered them like a toupee. Their strats are improved. They're finding their groove. 3 wins in this stage and some great primal rage. They transcended their walk-ins. Now people are talking. But we wonder if they can keep it moving like Mayhem. No.
That's
always throwing things at back.
Yeah, it's
unfortunate.
True. It's I couldn't find a Rotten Tomatoes, so I got the Pachymaro. So okay, let's talk about Mayhem because they had a great season. They brought it back. I'm happy to see Zebosai really improve. And we kind of talked about this. We said the Mercy meta didn't look like he was loving life, but now in the Lucio, it feels like not only does it allow him to have more of an impact over the battlefield, but it facilitates his shot calling a little bit more. They look much more in sync, especially with Swoosh. Same problem that Philadelphia had with Fraggy, European tanks. Who would have thought that he often died quite a lot at the start of these dives. They're looking to tighten these things up now.
I think it's also just coordination, which they've expanded their coaching staff. No doubt that helps. I think also you can't underestimate just having a better, more boisterous environment. I think they're feeling good having moved. I think they're feeling good now that Zap is coming and adding to this roster. So I think morale is up on the Mayhem, and that's helped their performance as well.
Yeah, a lot of positive things going on for Florida. I would say the one thing you mentioned is the shot calling. It was very difficult when Zebosai is your main shot caller as a Mercy in stage 1. You really needed it to be your Winston players. You saw a lot of the successful teams had a great main tank shot caller.
Yeah, those were 3 great stories, though, but we did have some that were rejected. They didn't make the cut. Let's share these bedtime stories with you, including Good Night Soon.
Well, to be honest, he was sleeping a little bit towards the Valiant's, later season.
If you're putting Soon to bed, maybe you do it at the in and out first. That's what we've learned for the Valiant.
Is that a Zenyatta in the fire? Like the 6 eyes? That's prophetic, right?
All right, next one. It is adorable. It is the Velveteen Prophet. They had to cover his hands there with the London logo because that gesture is not appropriate.
Yes!
you know what's going on under that London logo.
And finally, the very concise and to the point, my personal favorite, everyone boops.
Yeah, we all boop. It's nothing to be ashamed about. Sometimes when you gotta go, you just gotta go.
Yeah, all those Lucio players enjoying their time here in stage 2, getting all those boops. So with the first half of the season officially put to bed, here now is one image from every Overwatch League match so far. Enjoy.
It's time to kick off the inaugural season of the Overwatch League.
We are here finally ready to get things started.
We're sitting here in this beautiful arena with an amazing crowd. I'm ready.
That's insanity!
Swoosh leading the pony ride.
What's up, front of guys? It's 4 4-0s in a row for the Houston Outlaws. Big Boss Pine is on the scene. Adonis gets taken down. Oh, it's the 4-man pulse bomb. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. This guy's a living highlight reel, man.
A ridiculous week.
You've got some of the best Overwatch on display right now. There's no doubt about it. This is happening. You better believe it. London Spitfire, stage 1 champions.
And it only gets better from here. Day 1 of stage 2. Brand new meta, new players on new teams.
It's roasted and toasted.
What a time to be alive. Find a seat and grab some popcorn.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Hot diggity dog.
This crowd is on fire.
Young money, cash money, billionaires. The Gladiators have won the series. I can't believe it. You're gonna go for the res? I don't think so. Oh, are you kidding me? All the good stuff.
What did we do to deserve such incredible Overwatch?
It will be the clean sweep. This is a true statement game.
It's an absolute banger of some games kicking off.
That's going to be it. Philly did it. Absolutely crazy.
Ever upward, and the NYXL stand finally at the top.
We are halfway through the regular season of the Overwatch League, and the action is picking up. We'll see you later for Stage 3.
Looking at our overall standings, New York won the stage and remains our top team. London and Seoul are 2 and 3, and the Fusion Strong stage leaves them at number 4, followed by Houston and Boston. Remember, the top 6 teams will make the overall playoffs at the end of the season. As for Stage 2, though, there were a ton of emote-worthy moments. Let's take a look at our favorites, shall we?
We're going to look at our producer's favorite.
Emote control. Yeah. Same thing, really. I mean, if he wants to pick them for me, that's fine. Check this out. Week 1, guys. Remember this one? Our referee placed a Jae-Hong in the intro shot.
It was a pretty quality moment there, not expecting that.
I like Zumba and Toby staring at him like, yo, you got to get up, man.
Like, yo, overstay your welcome, perhaps. Also, this one happened in week 1. Quite the moment here with the crowd. Not impressed.
I like him. High standards right there for your Overwatch play.
You see a lot of yourself in him, right?
I do. That's my reaction to 90% of plays an owl.
Baby Bay, yeah, feeling himself in his intro here in week 2 for the San Francisco Shock. Matt loves a bit of that.
Yeah, Baby Bay's been plugging his Instagram. I think this is one that probably goes.
I just hate that he doesn't commit to it.
No, he does.
Hey, he's a coward at the last second. He just nopes out.
That nose brush is a bailout, in my opinion. Jonak leaves Meko hanging. He's looking at him. He doesn't give him the high five, though. Not happy, Jan.
He's like, hit tab, man. Let me see them stats real quick. He's like, before I give you that high five, let me make sure you earn that.
Oh dear. Yeah, not happy about it. Custer, your boy, week 4. Not the friendly giant that we expected to be.
Without a doubt, this is my favorite one thus far. This will probably be my favorite one at the end.
It would have ruined his walkout had he acknowledged that fan. Look at that.
We need to get
strong walk, chest out, shoulders back.
We got to get this fan back and have a sit-down interview with Costa and this fan.
Right. Well, there you go. Let's get to some of the fresh ones, though.
There you go.
Ark trying to make the jump here. It takes him a heck of a long time on Hannah to get across. There's no Lucio there. But
do it.
A little engine that could.
I saw this earlier. I'd be pretty upset over this, so I think I pull out the crying baby here. Can't get over to the next platform.
We've all been there in competitive when one of your supports wants to be a shot caller, like, oh, let's play on the high ground, and then they're not up there on the high ground. So I feel for the rest of NYXL. I'm usually them.
It is a jump you can. It is actually a hard jump to make.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult.
Pixel perfect. Here's a bit of swoosh. Having some issues with his water bottle, but does redeem himself later on in the piece.
What is he doing?
I mean, I think he's trying to open it.
Well, this looks like a bit of a failure right here. It doesn't even look like.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. I like how Tavik is, he's in there. Okay, they got it. They got it eventually. Teamwork, guys. Tavik, shot calling the water closing.
This is too funny. It's like Swoosh is so helpless here. He's just trying to mess with his water bottle, and nobody's paying him any attention. They're all just staring at the ground, like Tavik's just staring next to him. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, don't ever ask him to open your jar of jam, I guess, is the tip. Let's have a look at this next one. Oh, London and C9, they go together just so well. Oh, no, it's this one. Bren gets a big birthday surprise.
Oh.
Definitely Dante initially. Yeah, okay.
And he's going to actually just go into it and eat the cake right there. I'm going to go with, he looks like a skull after this, so it's definitely MLG PogChamp. The frosting gives him the appearance of death.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the bone face, the PogChamp as well. I think it's difficult not to do. It's just a really random death segment. You got Boombox up there, you got Bren with a cake on his face. It's just, it's all the makings of something PogChamp.
All right, Bren, back to Castle Grayskull, my dude. Now, do I get the one I wanted? Yes, I do. Dallas Fuel versus London, and a moment that just made not a lot of sense to me in general. London and C9 just go together so well.
Reset the sign, boys. Jack gonna be coming back after that one. Oh, I guess I have to go with another big failure here. You gotta stop doing this. I mean, it became its own meme. Jack made a sign about how long till last C9, and there you go. In fact, actually smiling.
I absolutely loved Dallas's comms during this. When we played it, it is literally just Mickey screaming screaming C9 over and over and over again at the top of his lungs. I don't understand how this keeps happening to teams.
Honestly, he's probably happy it's not them. There have been some shocking Dallas C9 so far this season, but maybe we'll just leave them. Yeah, here we go. A bit of a celebration here. The Uprising show off for team coordination. Look at the high fives. Straight down the line, fam.
Wow, that's pretty good. I think that's like, it's juicy. That's a juicy series of high fives. Really big play right there. Got to go with the Rockets booty for this one.
I'm gonna find a reason to use Juvie Kiss here. There's still a lot of love shared amongst the members of the Boston Uprising. Just passing it down the line. You can see they've worked on their team chemistry as the stage has gone on.
They're gonna be kissing each other on the cheek down the line next one, I hear.
Not exactly sure if that's possible.
Guys, we have celebrated, we've criticized, and we've laughed at everything from stage 2. And all that's left is a bit of hindsight. Monte, once again, start us off.
Well, in hindsight, we saw Seoul in stage 1 do about as well as they did in stage 2. And yes, you know, we have seen this team perform in the upper echelons of this league, but they've never been able to make it quite back to that lunatic high #1 status. And for me, it's been about they seem to have a confused identity. Some plays, they don't seem like they want to protect their back line against the dive. Sometimes they try and go in for the dive, but they don't fully commit. It seems like they just need better coordination moving forward. And that's been their fundamental issue, is deciding on what their style as a team is going to be and then sticking to it.
Yes. I would have to say my hindsight for stage 2 is that we're now starting to see teams value the utility offered by many of these flex supports. I have to say, now seeing a lot less Mercy involved now. Speed, obviously, is important. Lucio now in the meta. We also have Ana, that Sleep Dart is so crucial. We're seeing teams that are valuing this stuff. Also, supports that do damage. I mean, look, there are people at home saying, like, oh, I wish that supports weren't just valued on doing damage or not doing damage. I don't think that's entirely the case. But when you have players like Jonak and that Zenyatta that can do so much damage, they're always going to be good for your team. But it's fantastic to see a diversity now. Because Mercy's not so strong, team comps can be crafted and built around these different support choices. And they give us some fun setups. You know you're going to see Ana on Volskaya or Hanamura defense, and you know what to expect. Sleep Darts, Nano Boost plays are so much fun, and we've seen some excellent Lucio stuff all season.
In hindsight, for me, a lot of teams still struggle to put together a good dive composition all the way throughout stage 2. There wasn't a lot of time to obviously practice this between stage 1 and stage 2. So a lot of the teams with past experience playing together really shine here in stage 2, like NYXL and the London Spitfire. And a lot of teams who couldn't figure out the dive, what did they do? They reverted to stage 1 stuff. A lot of the teams at the bottom had some of the highest Mercy playtime in stage 2. I think going into stage 3, you're going to have to see a lot of those teams get chemistry really quick.
And there we go. That's our fond look back at the stage that was here. Stage 2 now in the books, and that does it for MLG's Watchpoint. Check out our Watchpoint preview show next Tuesday, April 3rd at 11 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Pacific time on overwatchleague.com or the Overwatch League app. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in Stage 3.